joining us today. Today, I'm very excited to be coming to you from the Cowichan Valley, the land of the Hokuminum. My name is Diana, and today I'm with Martin Comtois.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
We're bringing to you our Sol y Luna inspirations, where we come and talk about the new moon and full moon. So it's a bi-weekly report. And today's topic will be Pisces New Moon, which will be on March 2nd in the morning. I hope you're doing well. There's a lot in the world right now. There's a lot going on. We're going to come at you from an astrological perspective because in astrology, everything is reflected. So what goes on above is happening within, and it can be a really nice medium to meeting what's going on in our world without having to take it so personally, or finding a way that we can relate to it in a bit more of a easier format.
So thank you, Diana, to be joining us. So the Pisces new moon features a few interesting things. We have a sun moon in Pisces at 12 degrees, conjunct Jupiter.
So that's a hot spot. Check your chart if you do have anything at 12 degrees Pisces or Virgo.
And it sextiles Uranus and Taurus. Then we have the square of Mercury and Saturn exact at 19 degrees of Aquarius. And then the Mars, Venus, Pluto, all exact at 27 degrees Capricorn. So a lot of Saturnian energy like we've been experiencing. And then we have the sextile of Neptune in Pisces, almost conjunct Jupiter new moon. So here we'll give you a look at that chart. But before we do that, we're just going to visit together. So how you been feeling the times, dear Day?
It's honestly been a lot. It's been kind of a day to day and hour to hour process to stay present and navigate everything that comes up right now. Let alone when this new moon comes,
well, this new moon's
deep breaths.
This new moon's been building for a long time, a sense that things are coming to a head, a lot of things that we've been talking about in these videos. But also I remember making the charts for all of last year, in the fall of last year, and thinking that, whoa, this particular new moon right here, that's going to be like the most difficult time of the winter, I used to think. And not that the winter has been easy by any means. Again, we've talked about the three conjunctions of Venus with Pluto. We talked about the three conjunctions of Mercury with Pluto. So at this new moon, we have that Venus, Mars, Pluto conjunction exact, and those are moving very close to Pluto. We can already feel them. We've been feeling them for a while already, and so leading to the full moon, it's liable to have some quite intense energy. We have the Mercury Saturn conjunction. Mercury Saturn, the mind, and Saturn, discipline. It's everything. All of these planets are ruled by Saturn. So there's a certain ability to communicate, a discipline of really organizing our thought. But that Venus, Mars, Pluto, Venus, our feelings and our emotions and what we value, and Mars, anger, also really challenging for relationships. Real key point, so being really well resourced in my emotional nature and in my fiery nature, which are represented by Mars. And then we have that Pisces new moon, so sun and moon in Pisces in conjunction with Jupiter. And so at a normal time, that would be really enthusiastic, that would be really kind of mystical almost, and I think we're seeing some of that, but we'll see it in the chart also. It's interesting how these things are not really communicating, or it seems like, and actually you can see it in the collective, where there's the people that are really hopeful, And then there's the people that are really feeling the intensity of the time, and I think it's possible to be both, to be in contact with how difficult times are, but also being optimistic. And as all these planets, the next full moon will have Jupiter even closer to Neptune, and we'll have the sun over here and the moon in Virgo in opposite. So, this Jupiter Neptune thing, we're coming into that. We've been talking about it for a while. So, and that will be the dominating aspect of springtime. At the beginning of spring, we'll have that exact Jupiter Neptune conjunction. So we'll have to stay tuned to see what that feels like. Does that feel right to you, Dave?
Yeah, that's what's going on.
It's what's going on, huh? How are you feeling this Venus Mars? How's your relationship?
Venus Mars, masculine and feminine self. There is a lot more like drive pushing my inner feminine desires and yearnings in relationship to my things I want to do in life and values, but also to the people I care about. Definitely a lot more like gusto to get things done, but there's also been a lot of like falling apart for what doesn't serve anymore, or having to really face and look at old habits, old patterns, old ways of doing things that don't work anymore.
Yeah, that Pluto thing, huh? It's never really that easy to deal with Pluto. So let's look at it on the chart. So what's especially significant in all of this is that Venus, Mars, and Pluto over here are in exact triple conjunction, and they're right on the 10th house cusp.
Yeah.
So that's high noon, in the collective, so at the full moon, when the full moon comes, when the new moon comes, new moon in Pisces, when the new moon comes, Mars, Pluto, and Venus will be at the zenith. So at the noon point, at the noon point, so over, seeing the whole world from the point, we call that the MC. That's why I call myself MC Starman, not only because of my name, but also the MC point is, the medium coeli, or what it is that the world sees, or what I'm contributing to the world, so that we have a real feel that the Mars-Venus relationship is undergoing a lot of change, the way we interact with people, the way, and how we show ourselves into the world. Really big time of shift with Venus, Mars, and Pluto.
This is the exact 27-degree point that I know has been mentioned in astrology for a while too, of the birth of the United States.
Yes.
And I know we're in Canada right now, but we are all on one planet, and the United States has a big personality in our world, let's say. So I think it's an interesting point in that way as well. When I think of MC, I always think of like the North Star of a chart. So like the guiding force. Is that accurate? What would you sum up?
Well, the North Star, the North Star itself, that's, the MC is the middle, medium coeli means the middle of the sky. So basically it's the noon point. So the ascendant is the rising, where the sun rises. So then, the houses really move this way, right?
Yeah.
So the day moves this way, the year moves that way. So then the sunrise, high noon, sunset, and then midnight. So then the AC, MC, DC, and IC, they tell you about the 4 cardinal points in the sky. So this is called the horizon and the meridian. And they divide the chart into 4 charts, 4 corners, and all the planets are in the transpersonal corner, even with Mars, Venus, and Pluto all entering into that also. So sense that there's a lot of collective values, and a lot of, the changes are really poignant collectively. Saturn, Mercury, and Aquarius, the only thing that does is goes to Uranus. So here we have that Saturn Uranus square again. We've been talking about that, you know, for a year now. We're not done. We have a whole new square, but things are starting to lighten up a little bit. Although we're gonna have when we get into the Taurus new moons and full moons, that's gonna be triggered again during May. But right now that feels like that's mellowing down. The line is not as thick. And with Mercury, the mind and the communicator, you know, so then, you know, if you were going to build a little phrase, you know, you got the creative part of my soul and my action part of my soul are visiting hell. And my mind, my intellect is connected with my sense of who I am and connected with the great changes that are being affected. And then we go into those 4 planets in Pisces, including the 2 rulers. So, you know, a good way to look at that is, you know, the quest for redemption. You know, when are we all going to be free? When are we going to have, you know, this joy of living again, you know, in Pisces, you know? And then this is all, you know, the end of winter, you know, when the sun passes into Aries, spring begins, you know. So then we're in the last stretch. The next full moon will be right on the edge there, right at the solstice point, right? I think it's on the 18th.
That would make sense.
Yes, 17th, you know, so right before it. And then so there, I don't know, do you feel some enthusiasm with people?
Yeah, when you spoke earlier to that, both paradigms at once, there is that enthusiasm, and there's also that long, like, it's like, yeah, that part of you that's gone to hell, or that dread, or that exhaustion of it all now. When you say that too, I also think of how Pisces is also referred to as all of it in one. It's the end and the beginning at the same time, the end of the zodiac sign. So it starts at Aries and it comes down to Pisces, and then it starts all over again. And so there's this accumulation. And then with the new birth in the Pisces, with that being the new moon, and then conjunct Jupiter, it's like it might be a very like huge or a dramatic accumulation of everything that's been.
Yeah, fascinating. In terms of a chart analysis, this is really fascinating. You got 3 planets in conjunctions, 2 planets in conjunction, 3 planets in conjunction, and neither of those touch each other in any way. So it's like you know, a good way to say is that it's like we got, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm torn in so many different directions. Don't really, you know, I have to like somehow keep myself together while something's pulling this way, something's pulling that way, you know. And then another thing that's really kind of interesting is the new moon goes to Chiron and to Uranus and forms that beautiful little triangle, 2 semi-sextile and a sextile. And so Chiron, the wounded healer, and Uranus, the light bringer. You know, so you get to feel that, you know, all of these planets here, you know, these 6 planets really have a lot to do with healing the collective wounds and the need to bring light and redemption, Neptune. And there's a certain enthusiasm towards redemption, healing, and evolution. And you know, and then we can really participate with the disciplined mind in the Aquarian ideal. And then in that process, our relationships are being transformed. That's a nice little analysis to the chart, huh?
Yeah.
So then you have some interesting things to say. about some medicines that we have. So that's the chart.
Yeah. I'm a holistic nutritionist, and I've been studying the body, mind, and spirit for a long time. Like as soon as I was coming of age, it's found very fascinating to me. And so I put together some things around Pisces, because Pisces New Moon, it's very ruled in Pisces. We've got a lot going on in Pisces and how that hits our body. Pisces rules the feet and the lymphatic system in our bodies. And so there's some ways we can support our feet and lymphatic system. It's a really good time of year to start moving again if you've gotten stagnant. It's also a really good time of year to make sure that you're taking care of your feet if you work on your feet all day, and that may be the end of your physical work. There's not a whole lot of dynamicness going on. So start with the cell salt. In the cell salt theory, which I've referred to in other videos, Pisces is ruled by Ferrophos, and Ferrophos is an amazing tissue salt that helps to oxygenate the blood. It's really good if you have fevers or any kind of inflammation. So if you have anything with itis at the end, arthritis, all sorts of fevers, like I said, inflammation, ear, nose, and throat problems.
Is this
excuse me to
excuse me to interrupt you, but Ferrophos, is that so iron phosphate then?
You got it.
Okay.
Iron phosphate, yeah. It's the tissue
so it
salt.
will really build up your blood, and
Yeah.
then the phosphate. What does the phosphate do?
Your nervous system.
Your nervous system.
Keep things moving.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the lymphatic system, it's about like you're saying, just
slide.
moving things go out of your body, just cleansing. So I would imagine saunas and things like that would be really good.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead.
Okay, that's what we do. We jump ahead.
Pisces is nourishing tonics that are great, that are ruled by Pisces in the plant world would be like seaweeds. They help to really nourish and strengthen and heal the blood, like Martin was saying, but then also keep things moving. So it's dulse, Irish sea moss, sea lettuce, nori, have more sushi, things like that. And then with the cell salt, Ferrophos, you're right, it's iron. It helps store iron. So if you've been really low in iron or you have a hard time holding iron, Ferrophos can be that missing ingredient to help you hold iron in the blood better. It's really helpful for especially this kind of cold and flu season that we're in right now, as we start finally getting ready to go into spring, and then there's a lot more vitamin D and healthy fresh food. It gets easier for our immune systems to hold strong. This last home stretch is a good time to keep taking care of the body extra religiously. And if you want to go to the next slide, and go a little bit more into the lymphatic system and the feet. So because Pisces rules the lymphatic system, be a really great time to maybe try doing some hydrotherapy. And if you're not really into jumping into the river, the ocean yet, although it is an amazing experience, I recommend, you can always do it just with your feet, which is great for Pisces season. So that could be looking like having a hot shower and then having a cold tub, like little basin of cold water, and you go in there for a minute and then take your feet up, put them back in the hot shower or tub. Doing this cold and hot fluctuation really helps draw the lymphatics and all the old dead cells that are in the system. The lymphatic system is really good at pulling out all the old dead cells, toxins, and inactive viruses.
So really it's a so Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac and the sign of the sign right before the beginning of the new year in Aries. So spring starts. So basically this is kind of a time for the body to cleanse itself.
Yeah, we're getting into cleansing. I don't usually recommend doing deep cleansing. Now is the perfect time for lymphatic cleansing.
Well, that's what I mean. Just like, letting go of the old waters and washing away. Yeah. You use, you say kale, spinach, chard, collards, everything that has really rich in iron. And then again, you got nettle and burdock and cleavers there. So those are all really rich in iron as well, right?
Well, nettle is very rich in iron. Yep. Those cleavers, nettle, burdock, and echinacea are really good at stimulating the lymphatic system. Okay. And toning the blood. So they're, they help to move things along and do that gentle pre-toxing, we sometimes call it,
Here on the island, it's almost nettle time, huh?
Yeah, and then by the time it's the new moon, so a week and a half here, you might start seeing little shoots.
Cool.
Be cool.
Of course, we live on Vancouver Island, so we're especially lucky that we get to have these things sooner than you guys. So that's really fascinating there. Thank you for sharing that with us. And so strengthening the body, but not really deep cleanse yet, but kind of a gentle support of the lymphatic system, and then saunas and hydrotherapies and things like that to just flush yourself out.
Yeah.
And psychologically, I think that to support you, of course, there's your dream practice and then your writing practice and all of those things. And I think that we're under a lot of pressure, all of us, and it's really hard right now to find time for ourselves. And so that makes it that much more important, especially before a new moon. A new moon is in Jung's work, in his alchemical work, he talks about the novi lunum. The alchemist talks about the novi lunum. So novi means new, lunum, the moon, the new moon. It's traditionally regarded as being inauspicious. It is the new moon is very suspicious, because this is the first 2 days, the only 2 days, 3 days of the lunar month that the moon is not visible. It gets burnt up by the sun. When the moon and the sun, when the sun is within 1 degree of the conjunction with the sun, she gets burnt up. It's called a combustion in astrology. And so that's a really difficult time. And then we're going to have Jupiter also there so when you see the sun rising on March 2nd, know that the moon and Jupiter and Neptune are all rising together. So I would imagine that morning will be quite a hopeful morning. And yet there's going to be some darkness to it, so it's interesting, the paradox, huh? And the polarity that will divide, and that divides all of us, huh? It's really intense, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it starts from the divide within us. That reminds me of also this combustion theme with astrology, how it all kind of gets eaten up by the ruling planet. So would you say almost that Jupiter would be the combustion holder for that new moon, because it's the biggest energy, or the sun still?
Well, I mean, although Jupiter is really big, and then we're going to have a conjunction of sun and Jupiter about 3 days after. And anytime, because, the sun is a big ball of fire, it always as a burning effect on the planet that conjoins it exactly. So then, although Jupiter is the great benefic light, I think that's going to be dampened by the sun, but also energized by the sun. That's the thing. There's a two thing. The burning up leads to an energizing and a rebirth, so it's a process of rebirth. Conjunctions are like that. Whenever you have a conjunction with two planets, as the conjunction builds, gets closer and closer, there's a death. And then as the conjunction separates, there's a rebirth, so it's all the other aspects are kind of, just one-sided or energetically, they don't challenge us as much as a conjunction is. So really, conjunctions are really the most powerful alignments. And so then whenever you have to watch out, though, whenever it's a conjunction with the sun, but then here with the Venus, Mars, and Pluto in exact conjunction, Mercury, Saturn in exact conjunction, and then moon, because Jupiter's 3 degrees ahead. So in 3 days, the sun will be in conjunction with Jupiter. And then within a few hours after the full moon, 6 hours, half a day, the moon will be in conjunction with Jupiter, and then with Neptune. And then we have the Sun Jupiter and Sun Neptune conjunction. I think the further the planets are, the less they really become consumed by the combustion,
That
you know,
makes sense.
yeah, because they're so
I
far
guess
away.
I was asking because the sun and the new moon conjunct Jupiter in Pisces. Pisces is this beautiful accumulation of it all. It's the artist, the mystic, but it can also be the part of us that wants to run away or disassociate. And so with such a big energy in Pisces, and then having that hard aspect in Capricorn, I guess I caution myself to also be aware of that and to not let that dissociative or runaway quality rule.
Well,
and use the mystic strength.
Well, with all of these planets in Pisces, the quest for redemption, you know, and redemption takes different, you know, views. You know, we can have a really deep spiritual practice where we experience renewal and redemption, but also a glass of, you know, scotch can be perceived, or anything that has this redemptive quality that makes me eases my pain, you know. So you know, TV or even a relationship, one can project a Neptunian need to be contained and loved by another one. And I think that because of all this tension, then it really reinforces that, huh? So those two polarities, and then this thing going on with Mercury and Saturn, and then, you know, Uranus and Chiron in that little triangle that we saw. A fascinating energy.
I'd love to hear how it feels for you. Please feel free to comment below, and we can have a dialogue about it. It's always interesting to see how it comes up for everyone, a little bit different.
Yes, and please share and subscribe to the channel. Also, of course, to resource you, we offer readings, and Day offers consultations. This is how you contact me here. And then soon we're going to put Day's information on here, but this is the Healer and the Dreamer Astrology. I do readings, dream works, and workshops. I got 2 workshops coming up, one in Victoria. We're going to be talking about dreams and the process of transformation and the myth of Persephone. And then in Comox on Sunday, we're going to talk about the symbolic language of dreams. And then soon we're going to be offering some workshops here in Comox Valley. And then by summer, hope to be traveling to further points. But the Healer and the Dreamer Astrology, gmail.com if you want to connect with me. And then the YouTube channel is the same, Healer Dreamer Astrology. So is Facebook. And if creativity is a fire, I'm your biggest fan. And so that was a fun show. Thank you for joining me, Day.
Thank you, Martin. It's always fun to go over what's going on in the skies.
This one felt pretty smooth. I hope you like it. We'll see you next time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, and we want to end the recording.